Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
Right up to the top of his head, all round his ears.
Flora's worried about Griffin.
I had a terrible feeling last night. I felt he was in desperate trouble.
He meddled in things men should leave alone. Not the slightest clue.
That's where the clues are. He wasn't leaving anything to chance.
There must be a way back. God knows there's a way back.
Are you doing help?
If only you'd leave me alone.
It's the stranger with the goggles. He's gone mad.
You're crazy to know who I am, aren't you? All right, I'll show you. The mania madness of your peering through the keyholes and peeping through the curtains. And now you'll suffer for it.
But why? Why do it, Griffin? Just a scientific experiment at first. To do something no other man in the world had done. Suddenly I realized the power I held. The power to rule. To make the world grovel at my feet.
You know who the Invisible Man is, Doctor. Where is Dr. Griffin?
What's the good of concealing it?
Oh, come and stay with us. Let's fight this thing out together.
Police, quickly. The Invisible Man is in my house. He's mad. He's killed a man tonight. Believe me, as surely as the moon will set and the sun will rise, I shall kill you tomorrow night. The secret of invisibility lies there in my books. Don't you see what it means? Power. Power to walk into the gold vaults of the nations, into the secrets of kings, into the Holy of Holies. Power to make multitudes run squealing in terror at the touch of my little invisible finger. Even the moon's frightened of me. The whole world's frightened to death.
I'll lay traps that even an invisible man can't pass. Radio stations now. Watch the wall.
Help! Help! He's here! He's here!
Here we go, gathering nuts and May on a cold and frosty morning. Whoops!
Alright guys, welcome back to the Universal Monster series. For episode number 6, we'll be talking about 1933's The Invisible Man. So Terrence, let's just go ahead and jump right into it.
Alright, Invisible Man release date, November 13th, 1933. Worldwide gross, that's $26,744. I did not look up the inflation for this one. Director, James Whale. Writing credits, H.G. Wells, also known for writing War of the Worlds, The Invisible Man, so this is based off a book, and The Island of Dr. Moreau, which is also another Universal Monsters movie. Screenplay was written by R.C. Sheriff. Preston Sturgis was a contributing writer that was uncredited, and so was Philip Weil. We have the technical specs, which is run time of 1 hour and 11 minutes, so one of the shorter ones, super quick to get through. Sound mix, mono, Western Electric, noiseless recording sound system. Color, black and white. Aspect ratio, 1.37 by 1. Lavatory, Universal Studios Lavatory, USA, surprise, surprise. Film length, 8 reels. That's 1,979.35 meters. Negative format, 35 millimeters, and cinematographic process, spherical printed film format, 35 millimeters. Now, off to the awards. Once again, shocking, Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, USA, 2015, nominated Best Blu-ray DVD Collection. That's the same thing for 2013, but they won in 2013. And then they also won in 2008 for National Film Preservation Board USA for the National Film Registry.
Which I think, is that the first one of the Universal Monsters that we've seen go to the film
No,
registry?
it's actually the second. I believe...
I think it's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein or Dracula went to the National Film Registry. Then we have... Venice Film Festival, which is 1934, winner for special recommendation, James Whale, and then nominee, the Mussolini Cup, Best Foreign Film, James Whale. That's an interesting award.
Right.
The Mussolini Cup.
Especially after World War II.
I know, right?
So Kyle is with us once again. Kyle, you want to go ahead and give us the synopsis and then take us away on the cast?
Absolutely, Jimbo. By the way, Kyle Zander's on the show.
Once again.
Surprise.
He was the invisible guest.
I know. And now you hear me with my sultry voice. Okay, synopsis of this film. A scientist has discovered a way to make himself invisible, although his side effects have left him permanently invisible and turning him into a murderous, raving lunatic. The cast includes Claude Rains from Casablanca fame playing Dr. Jack Griffin, or also the Invisible Man. Fun fact, Boris Karloff plus Colin Clive were originally considered for the role, but Claude Rains won out. Also starring William Hannigan as Dr. Arthur Kemp. Fun fact, Chester Norris was also considered for the role, but William Hannigan won out. Gloria Stewart played Flora Cranley. She wanted to play the Old Rose in the Titanic film from 1997. And Henry Trevors played Dr. Cranley. Una O'Connor as Ginny Hall, the hysterical pub lady.
One of the best performances of the film.
You know, when you need a woman to scream, you call Una O'Connor, because she will scream. Forrester Harvey as Herbert Hall. Dudley Diggs, my favorite name, as a chief detective. What also a great name. Excuse me, sir, what's your name? My name is Chief Detective. Oh, very formal, very formal. And last but certainly not least, we have Edward S. Crome Clive as Constable Jaffers. Also, several notable character actors appear in minor roles, including Dwight Fryer as a reporter, Walter Brennan as a man whose bicycle is stolen by Griffin, and John Carradine, acting at the time under the name Peter Richmond as a Cockney informer. And that goes for the casting.
Right. So a couple things about the casting real quick is that he did mention that Boris Karloff and Colin Clive were both originally considered to play the lead. Clive was tempted, but he preferred to take a planned vacation back to England. But Boris Karloff, he did accept until a dispute with James Whale broke up their personal and professional relationship. Karloff had been Universal's original choice for the role of the Invisible Man, said to have turned it down because he would not be seen on screen until the end. In reality, a quarrel with director James Whale broke up their relationship, and the director decided he wanted someone with a more of an intellectual voice than Karloff. All of a sudden, his marked lisp had become an issue. Whale selected Claude Rains after actually hearing Rains' scream test being played in another room. Until this film, Rains had primarily been a stage actor, although he had appeared in one silent movie, Build Thy House, in 1920. This was his first sound film. So with a voice like that...
And you don't see his face till the end.
I know. So...
and what a voice. That laughter is amazing. Just,
well, a couple things about Claude Rains. Because most of this film, you do not see him. The way that they achieved the special effects for him was that when he took off the bandages, you always see him in bandages and hats and overcoats, but the way they achieved that is that the actual Claude was actually dressed in complete and black velvet from head to toe in front of a black velvet background. So when he had the bandage on there, it's actually his face. You know, they just undid it, which was fantastic for the 1933. We're talking the effects in this movie.
Just
they pulled it off.
Effects, really,
they pulled it off.
Outstanding. But also, Claude Rains was also chosen for his role because he spoke with such clarity and could be easily understood. This was important since his face was covered for almost the entire film. And then we will come to find out that Claude Rains is one of the most bloodthirsty villains of the old Universal horror films. with a total of 4 murders depicted directly on screen, the murders of 18 search party members off-screen, and the derailment of a train which results in 100 deaths. In total, Dr. Rivik kills 122 people before he is killed.
Biggest body count of the Universal Monsters.
So far.
So far.
Talk about a heavy hitter.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and start talking about this movie. We'll start off. You start off
In a
somewhere
pub.
cold in a pub.
Yeah.
Someone, London, I presume, seeing
And it's got to be wintertime because
Small
of the snow.
European town in the
some
winter.
small England town.
So this pub owner and his wife run this place.
Yeah.
And she's funny. You'll come to find out. But you got people in there telling stories. Like the one guy's like, "Hey, so and so got stuck in the snow. You know how they got him out? We called the fire department and had them put the hose in reverse and sucked him out, or whatever." You know?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always thought was interesting is that the guy playing the piano, he turns around, he bows, and then the guy puts another quarter in and turns it up, and he
starts playing. He's like, oh, and then he starts pretending to play.
Which is
again.
interesting because when Claude Rains comes in, when the Invisible Man comes in, he's in his bandage and he comes in, and he's like, "I like a room." Everybody just stops, and even the piano stops. So if
Yeah.
it's played by
Even
music,
though it's automatic.
It's automatic. Why is it not? Why
The
did it
Invisible
stop?
Man is just that terrifying.
Right. So he comes and he's like, "I like a room." And she's like, "Oh, we don't have any rooms ready. We don't do
Yeah.
that business till the summer." And he's like, "You can get one ready." And she's like, "Oh, okay." Yeah. So he goes upstairs and she shows him his room, and he's standing there. She's like, "Can I take your coat and hat? And, dry them off?" He's like, "No, just stay with me." And so you see, he's like, "Could you bring me some food and beverage or whatever?" So
Yeah.
and start a fire. So she starts the fire. She's trying to make small talk with him. He don't really care.
He's just like, get out of here.
And so he closes the blind. He closes the curtains and he pulls down that little blind shade. So she goes downstairs, right, to get his food, and she comes back up with the food and sets
After
it
he
up.
asked not to be disturbed, he's
Right,
like,
well,
make sure I don't be disturbed.
Yeah, but he still wants his food though.
That's
because
right.
he
Yeah.
requested. And then that's when he tells her, he's like, "I don't want to be disturbed. Nobody comes in and out here unless I tell them to."
Yep.
And he's like, "Thank you," and you still see him sitting at the window. And so she leaves again, and she goes downstairs, and her helpmate or whatever says, "I forgot the mustard." So she's like, "Oh, you forgot the mustard." So the lady starts running back up there, right? And she opens the door, and her face just drops, like
sheer terror. Yeah.
And you look, and he's like. He
quickly puts up
picks up a
like
napkin
a
and covers his
napkin
face. He's
over
like,
his
"I
face."
told you I was not to be disturbed." And she's like, "Oh, you're mustard, sir. We forgot you." He's like, "Oh, thank you." And he's like, "You can take my top coat." And he's like, "But leave the hat." So,
Yeah.
So she takes his top coat to dry, and she goes downstairs to her husband, and she says, "Blimey, he doesn't have a mouth. He's just wrapped up in bandages like a terrible accident."
Yeah.
So you see him up there, and obviously a couple days have passed or whatever, because she's like, he hasn't paid his rent, so we need to get his rent. And so this is where she sends her husband up there to get his rent, remember? And
I love that she sent him up to the strong man, even though he clearly isn't the strong man in this situation.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's really funny is, like, okay, so beforehand is when you first get that iconic scream that she has, is when she goes to bring him up food and then just comes into his room after being there for a couple days and asking not to be disturbed. She just comes into the room and he just quickly closes the door, and that's when she's like, and then that's when she goes screaming down to her husband, and she's like, "You have to take care of him. He's been here for he's doing stuff. He has a whole chemical set up in the room, and you have to get rid of him. He hasn't paid anything." So then he's like, all right. So he goes up there, and you can clearly tell she wears the pants in the relationship, because she's like, "Well, maybe it's not so bad. Like, let's just leave him be." And then she's like, "No, get him out of here."
Gotta let him cool off. Then I could politely ask him to leave and try and be a strong, tough man. Like, he clearly is not built for that.
So he goes up there, and he knocks on the door or whatever, and he comes in or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, you owe us this rent." He's like, "Well, I'll get paid tomorrow or whatever. You'll have it all." He's like, "Oh, that's not. You need to get out of here now." And then that's when he starts going, "You fool, don't you know him, blah, blah."
Yeah.
And he basically slams the door on him.
Throws him down the stairs.
Yeah, throws him
first.
down the stairs.
He throws him down the stairs and he slams the door shut. And
His wife comes out, "Ah!" once again. So they call the sheriff. And so they're the constable, I guess, if you will. So he comes and Well, what's funny about this part is, they come and said, hey, he's up here, he hasn't paid his rent, and they said, you need to kick him out. So he comes up, and like the whole village is following the cop up the stairs.
Yeah.
I was like, guys.
The whole village is involved in this.
Like, you can tell nothing ever exciting happens there ever. This is the first thing ever. Like, everyone is, like, they're terrified, but also thrilled.
Everybody to the Lions pub.
Something's happening once.
Something finally happening.
So he busts in the room, right? And he's like, I told you I wanted to be left alone. He says, do you know what this is? Some of this you'll be visible or whatever. He's like, you want something to look at? He's like, I'll give you something to look at. Takes his nose and throws it up.
Have this. And have this too. And
he takes off his glasses off, and that's where you get your first sense of invisibility, because you see right there, and then you see him saying, he starts taking off his hat, his bandages off his head.
And then he has a wig that he also throws at him.
And you see him just in his suit, and you're like, oh, wow, this is really well done.
Yeah.
And they're like, he's invisible.
Yeah.
And he starts taking off his. So this is where he starts throwing the stuff at him, remember, and all that. So
and then they all retreat.
They all go back downstairs, and they're like, he's invisible. It's like, well, we better get up there and get him, because once he takes off.
He's like, we better get him before he gets all his clothes off.
He takes his pants off. He's like, we'll never find him. So they go up there. This is where he's invisible or whatever. Remember, he's like just like throwing stuff. And,
just causing a ruckus.
Right.
Yeah.
Throwing things around.
Yeah. So he's like, out of my way or whatever. So you see him going down the stairs, and you see the one guy the guy that he had thrown down the stairs earlier. He kind of shoves him out of the way.
Yeah.
He knocks over the grandfather clock by the lady. She's and you see him get cut through the pub, and he's like going through the crowd of people. You can see him dispersing.
That's when he starts like wreaking terror.
This is where he just starts going crazy.
Yep. Steals the guy's bike and starts running down the line.
He rides the bike.
Have your blooming bike back, and he throws the bike.
Yeah, he's like, here, do what you want with your bike.
And then he knocks over a baby stroller.
Yeah, takes the guy's hat. Hey, good day, grandfather, and throws it in the water. Throws a rock through a window.
Hits a crowd with a broom.
It's right, great. The broom. So now you just see him. He's finally went off the deep end.
That's how you know he's evil. He tipped over a baby stroller.
Right.
Yeah. And he's like 0 to 90. Like, for that, he's kind of he's like not rude, but very forceful in his demeanor.
Right. So now
crazy.
Now you go to a scene where I guess it would be his lab partners, if you will.
Yeah.
This is where you come to find out what it was that was making him crazy, because the drugs that the experiment that he did made him invisible, yes, but it was also starting to make him crazy.
Yeah.
So
it was his assistant Kemp, and I believe
it was the lady's dead.
The father
yeah.
of. I don't know her relationship to the Invisible Man at all. Like, it doesn't say if they're married.
I think there was a thing there because
they're definitely like romantically involved.
It's a romantic relationship. I don't think they ever got married. That's why I think if they got married, that would be something they would say. I think at least they were sweethearts. Definitely.
Right. That's what I would say. So it's her dad and Kemp in there, Kemp was actually his real partner.
Yeah.
And they're like, it was we went back and checked it out because it was monocaine, and which was a plant flower basically from India, if I remember right. Yep. And what did it do?
They injected it into the skin of a dog, they mentioned, and it turned the dog's skin dead white, like that of a marble statue,
and caused it to go raving mad.
Yeah.
But in general, on plants, it actually takes away all the color out of everything else. So it's known for it's important for its invisibility quality, but also its side effect is this madness.
You go mad,
but you can finally figure out what's going on.
And they say, "I hope he hasn't been messing with this." And then I believe they said, "How could he know?" If he was going mad, if he was messing with it.
Well, is this also where they're going through there and they see the notes that had been burned, and they go through the shelves, and he has taken all the instruments and tools and everything that
then
he
they
needed to have.
He just packed everything away and left
without giving them any indication or inkling of where he was going. Mm-hmm. So now you come back, and I think this is where the Invisible Man comes and sees Kemp at his house.
Yes. Oh yeah,
and he's like. Kemp.
And this is after listening, like, you hear the radio, and they're like, this is what I think is interesting. So the radio is like, there's a whole town that's sick. They all believe that there's an invisible man attacking them. and so they all must be like really
Mass
ill.
hysteria kind
just
of thing.
mass hysteria. This epidemic sickness that's going on through this town.
They
so
believe they've seen invisible
So they
men.
don't
How
believe.
ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. And that was also prefaced in a conversation between the constable and I guess the main police headquarters. He's like, where are you calling from? He's like, the Lion's Head, which is is a known pub. And he's like, why don't you water it down next time? And he hangs up. So obviously the newscaster on the radio shows more disbelief, and like nobody believes what's happening in this town at all.
Right.
And then that's when he starts talking to him.
So he goes to Kemp and he's like, Kemp, he's like, oh, don't be alarmed. You know who it is. He's like, do you have like some bandages and a hat and some glasses? He's like, it'll make you feel better if you can see me. So he goes and gets the stuff and he's like, I wouldn't leave if I were you. He's like, so he goes and gets the stuff and he puts it all in there and he's sitting there in the chair, and they're talking. And this is where he comes up with this grand diabolical plan that, hey, you're going to be my partner. We're gonna kill some famous people, some lesser known people, politicians, whatever he said, He's like, I might even make you invisible, just so I can take a break, But so he has a person that's visible and invisible. He's like, but I need to go get my notes at the Lion's Head. I left them there. He's like, it's very important I get these so I can turn myself back.
And here's also what's interesting because all the other sort of monster movies are based off some mythical creature that already exists, so then you already kind of know the stipulations of each one. But when it came to the Invisible Man, you had to come out right and say, these are the things I need to avoid and my weaknesses, because you just can't assume those things. So that's when he goes, when I eat I have to wait an hour because my food will be visible. He has to constantly keep his nails clean, or else you can see the dirt in his fingernails.
Right. Can't be out in rain.
He can't be on the rain because you can see his silhouette. Same thing with smoke, like heavily polluted areas. And then I believe it was also he has to constantly clean his feet because in his feet, the dirt in his feet.
So
can be seen.
let's go ahead and talk about these inconsistencies because if you notice, he smokes.
Yeah.
So if he was smoking, you would see his lungs
is filling with the smoke.
But
and then
I
exhaling.
don't know if I ever remember him see him smoking outside of the bandages.
It was just. Did he have the bandages on when he?
Didn't he smoke?
No. It was invisible because this was right before he asked him to bring the things. He was sitting down in the rocking chair and he lit a cigarette, and then he took one puff of the cigarette. And then he's like, "I understand. Like you're not able to talk to me. So go get. You have bandages and goggles I can use. So then."
But I think it would have been a really cool special effect even if you didn't see him in his lungs when he blew it out. You seen his face.
Oh yeah.
I think that would have been very telling of things to come.
Which they actually could have done with the special effects at the time. They
Right.
could have done something like that, but they chose not to.
No, but it's still well done.
Yeah, it was still incredibly well done.
It definitely didn't take me out of the movie.
No.
Knowing
so
that,
he's like, well, we got to go get these books. He's like, he's like, well, it's 8:00 or whatever. He's like, we got a half hour before dark.
There's a guard at the door, and he's like, it's okay.
Like, I'm not looking for excuses, I'm looking for solutions.
Yeah.
Basically.
So basically, he's like, and do you got a blanket? He's like, because it's cold when you have to run around naked, So you see him. He's like, bring that bag because you need something to put the books in. He's like, I'll sneak in, throw them out through the window. So you see him. He's like, park a mile away. And you just see him, in the car. He's like, you got that blanket. So he's wrapped. Next thing you see, he's wrapped up in the blanket, and the guy's driving. He's like, all right, stop here. And Kemp. And so he's like, I'll go in. And what's really crazy is they're having a meeting about him.
Yeah.
It's like the head police guy. I don't even know if it's the head police guy, is it?
Excuse me, it is.
It's another.
His name is Chief Detective.
So they have Chief Detective.
Right. So,
Mr.
are you
Chief
sure that's him, or is
Detective
he the one that actually goes?
Actually, I believe you're right. Yeah, he comes later.
So this might be like the
There's still another cop in disbelief in this scene.
right, and he's got like the whole people there that seen him.
Yeah.
The people that got their bikes stolen or thrown and all
Yeah.
that. But you just see the Invisible Man just go in the front door. He doesn't bother anybody right now, and he just goes up there. He's like, Kemp, and he throws the books out the window.
Well, if you remember, there was the door he went through. There were some kids playing by it,
Right.
And then that lady comes out and she's like, "Get out of here! I knew you'd be messing with the door." And they're like, "We didn't touch it. We didn't touch it." And he's like, "Quit lying!" And then she goes back in.
So they got him, and he goes upstairs. He opens the window. He throws his books down that he needed. And which I can't believe they didn't confiscate that stuff right away. You know,
I know, right?
But
and then he just throws the ink in his face.
And she's like, "He's here!" And then you see him just like cleaning off the bar. And
Well, yeah. After he throws the ink in the face and clears off the bar, she jumps on the table like there's a mouse on the ground. And she's holding up her dress, and she's
and then he throws that one jug and hits her right in the head. The glass right in the head. I was like, oh. and she's like, and they're all just scattering.
Oh man!
But he actually does. This is where he picks up the bench and he throws it on top of the detective and hits him like square in the
Oh
nose, kills him.
He bludgeons him with
he's
a
dead.
chair. Yeah.
Yeah, super dead.
So and this is where you see all the cops outside, and
I believe there's a news article right after that scene. It's like cops slaying in little town.
yeah,
Something like that.
and this is where he's considered a dangerous. But I also think is this where all the cops where he's like honking the one guy's cop's nose and like he's pulling the one cop by the feet.
That's after they go to the house for the first time. They go to Hopkins' house. That's they go there.
Yeah.
Yep.
After Kip calls the cops.
Right. So now he has his books, and this is where he goes back to Kemp's house, right? And,
Yeah.
And he's like, "Do you have any pajamas?" He puts the pajamas, which is a great scene because you just see it. And he's getting in his bed or whatever. He's like, "Tomorrow we start," and he's like, he calls. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "I got the Invisible Man
Here.
And he's like, "Well, there's nothing I can do with 5 men on duty.
Yeah.
You have to wait till tomorrow morning or whatever. Just keep him occupied. Don't let him out of your sight."
Yeah.
And I was like, "He's invisible."
Worth noting that the first call he makes was to Dr. Cranley.
I thought that was the second call.
No, the first call he makes was Dr. Cranley, and the second call he makes is the police.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
So the
right,
first
yeah.
call. So he's like, you got to keep him there. He's like, I got to get time to get everything together. And I also believe that's when the daughter comes down and it's like,
Yeah, Flora
that-
overhears
yeah.
him, and then says like, "What's going on, Dad?" And then like, he's like, "Well, it's
Kemp and-
It's Kemp. No, it's yeah."
He's like, she's like, it was Kemp. Yeah. He's like,
He
it was
says
Kemp.
Dr.
and
Jack's, the Invisible Man, and he's over at the house, whatever.
She's like, I must go to him.
Yeah,
And he's like, no. And so he's going anyway, or she's going to go the next day anyway. So, but I think after this point, is this where they, you see where they get on the radio and they say, hey, there's an invisible man, and everybody starts locking their doors and everything.
yeah. Everyone freaks
Yep.
out. Mass hysteria begins now for
Closing
real.
windows,
Yeah.
locking doors.
The
And
Invisible
that
Man's gonna
there's
get
an
me.
award if you want to help us catch him. There's
£1,000, I think.
there's an award. And what really got me here is that you even see like an orphanage with a bunch of kids, huddled around that lady. They just look scared. You see people locking the doors, chaining the doors, grabbing brooms, grabbing whatever they can.
It's also like this like small little montage, just like people and like volunteers and cops just like going through in lines, just swinging wildly wherever they can, and maybe get a lucky hit on this guy.
I think this is also where you get the phone calls coming in. It's like, well, why don't you just go out on a foggy day? You would be able to see a silhouette, or why don't you tar the entire roads? Sticky feet.
All the good suggestions, all the bad suggestions.
I was like, this is
great.
ridiculous. So now it comes where he's like, you called the cops. They're back at the house, and he's like, no, I swear I didn't, but she actually did,
Yep.
And it's actually, he's like, no, look, it's your what's her name?
Flora and Dr. Cranley come there
Yeah,
first.
they said they're here. And he's like, well, I will speak to her privately, So he goes up to the room. She goes up to the room, and he's sitting there in all his bandages. And this is where they have the heart to heart. And this is where you really see the maniac coming out at him because he's like, yeah, I made this solution. He's like, and I will sell it to the highest bidder in the world, and we will be rich, and they will come to me, and they will grovel at my feet. And I was like, okay, bro.
Right.
But also, clearly, he was somewhat unhinged before.
Right, but I mean, this is just, you're just starting to see.
From the start, he was bad, and now he's a lot worse.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: you do get a semblance of kind of what he was like through her, and I feel like that's the only sort of thing she brings to the table through the movie is when she does talk about him and her in the past before him becoming invisible. He seemed a lot more compassionate and sort of like more calm, I guess you could say. Because I believe at one scene she has a line where she's like, "Oh, I miss when we just would have relaxing evenings or something like that," right? So that showed that he wasn't always this way,
Right.
And then that it was what was the plant called?
Monocaine.
Monocaine was what was affecting him to be so
Because she was like, hey,
crazy.
you need to come back because we don't know the effects that this plant's going to have. We can work
Yeah.
through it together and all that. He's like, no. And this is where he sees the police starting to come in, too. He looks out the window and he's like, he's like, Kemp, you
I've been
liar.
betrayed.
Yeah, he's like, I left him alone and this is what happens. And then he takes it.
I like when he goes down to Kemp and he's like, "Kemp, you've been my most trusted assistant."
And he's like, thanks for opening the window for me. Remember?
Yeah, exactly.
And he goes, this time tomorrow, I'm going to kill you.
After-
At
I
10
like
o'clock, I am going to kill you.
I like the build up to it though. He's like, "You're my trusted assistant. You've always been a good friend. I'm going to kill you."
Yeah. And I'm going to kill you tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
At 10 o'clock.
Yeah. And
He's
so
like, "No matter what cave you hide in, I will find
he's
you.
like,
and I will
find-"
kill
Yep.
you."
And I was like, man,
"What?"
this guy is just went over the top. So he escapes out of the clutches of the cops here, and I think this is the part where he tweaks the nose of the one cop.
Yep.
And he grabs the one guy by the feet.
Everybody.
And then
he spins him around and throws him.
Yeah.
And forgive if everybody doesn't understand the reference, but definitely like Mario 64 style, where he just spins him around and throws him.
And what about when? And then this is where he's singing the song, skipping down, chasing that lady screaming. He's just in his pants. He's like, "Here we go around the mulberry bush," or whatever it was that he was singing.
I definitely feel like this Universal monster, out of all the other monsters, has a bit of a self-awareness of its humor too. All the action is so over the top and ridiculous.
They said that one of the notes I was reading about, they said that this is like regarded as the most humor in a monster movie.
Oh yeah.
But they said there's a couple of other scenes in like The Bride of Frankenstein and stuff. Frankenstein, that there's some funny stuff. But this is the one where it's actually just over the top hilarious.
Plus, this is the first movie, whereas the sequels you have an excuse to go a little more comedic.
Right.
But also, this one like has like the biggest balance of like they have to have a little bit of these lighter moments to make sense for the extremely dark moments, like him when he derails the train. Like
right. So,
which is coming up.
So he escapes again. And so Kemp and him, they're like, "Hey, we got a plan. We're gonna set up to get him."
Yeah.
And he's like, "But I can't tell you now." He's like, "He might be in this very room, hiding in the corner." So they bring in the net. They're going walking all the way across the room just to make sure he's on it.
So good.
So then they walk back, and so they lock the window, lock the doors. It's like, "All right, he's not in here." And they said, "Here's what we're going to do." They're all sitting at his feet or whatever. So
it's time for story time.
Right. So this sets up. He's like, "Hey, we know he's coming back for Kemp. He said he's going to kill him. He usually keeps his word. So we're going to put dusting on top of the wall outside so we can see if he tries to climb over or it'll knock dust off."
Yeah.
He's like, and then we're going to shoot it with that tar gun or whatever.
Yeah.
Remember he's like, and then we'll catch it and we'll deal with it. So you set up the big night. Kemp's all worried. He's like, "Well, just bring me back down to the headquarters or whatever." So
yeah. So their idea was to disguise him as a cop.
Right.
Like, well, pretend to escort him to a location, disguise him as a cop,
and then take him back so he can leave in his car.
So then he can leave.
So you see him. They go to his house. They pick him up. They drive him to the police station. As he's in there, and he's changing back. And I think the police uniform to take him back.
That's when he.
But you see the one guy's like, "There's a cat on top of the thing," and he knocks the dust off. He's like, "He's here!" And he shoots the cat with the tar. And I was like, poor cat. And so then they all start going crazy. They're trying to find him and whatever. Well, this time Kemp's already back to his house and gets in his car and he starts taking off. And he's driving also. He's like, "Oh, very clever, Kemp." And he's like, "Oh man." he's like, "Do you think I'm stupid?" He's like, "I was riding on the sideboard or the running board of the cop car or whatever the entire time."
Yeah,
you guys didn't
goes
know.
like down the list of like what he did to keep up. And like how he was with him the whole.
He's like,
time.
"I knew your whole plan." He's like, "It wasn't gonna work," So he's like, Kemp, and this is where he.
And then he goes into detail about what's gonna happen to Kemp.
Right. Well, this is where he gets out of the car. Remember, and he ties his feet and legs up, and he puts him back in the thing in the driver's seat, and he's like, Kemp. He's like, "Here in a few minutes," he's like, "I'm gonna release this brake." He's like, "You're going to go down this at a very slow angle." He's like, "And then you're going to fly over the end of this cliff, and it'll be over for you."
And then you're going to somersault. And then you'll break this, and then finally you'll break your neck.
And he's like, "Please," he's like, "I'll do anything." And this is where you're like, I thought, and he's like, "Well," I thought he was going to let him off. Well, you could do this for me. He's like, that's what he tells him all that. He's like, "Good day, Kemp," and he releases it, and you just see him. You just see the fear in his eyes, and then car goes over, and it just blows up,
explodes.
and you're like, "Wow!"
Immediate fire on the first hit, and an explosion in the end, of course.
Right. This is a fantastic movie.
And then of course,
everything about it.
He has his own and then just
Yeah.
So now he's wore down, and he goes to this barn, right?
Yeah.
He's tired. And you see.
First we have the whole after he kills him, he has the whole montage of like robbing the bank and those and things.
and then derailing the train.
Yeah, so he
money.
Yeah, so you see him like go to the bank, and you just see this drawer left out. He goes out to the outside, and he just starts money,
Free money, everybody.
Yeah, and he throws it, and the cops see it. They can't stop him.
The cops try to get him, but he just throws money all over the cop. And all the
and this is also where they
money.
form the search party, and he just strangles the one guy and throws him off the cliff.
Yeah, and then he throws another guy.
And then another guy, he's like, "Why don't you join him?" He throws him off too. But I guess, according to the notes, that he killed all 18 of those searchers.
Well then.
So that only shows the 2.
Yeah.
So the search team went missing.
Right. So then you see the train come in, and you see the guy at the station or whatever. He hits him over the head with something.
Oh,
and then
he
he just flips that switch, and the train goes off the side of a cliff. And all the people, he kills all 100 people on board, and he's laughing at the whole time. I think this is where he ends up going to the barn, because this is where they call for everybody to come search.
After the day of mischief, he's finally tired.
And then you see him go in the barn, and you're like,
Mischief's an understatement.
You know, and what's funny about this is he goes and he lays in the hay, right? He's like, and then you hear, achoo. I was like, really? I don't.
Then you see the little hay kind of go up and down.
Yeah.
It's great.
And he covers himself up or whatever. So, then you have the barn owner. He comes in and he's hanging up like the pitch. I thought he was going to throw the pitchfork.
I thought that was going to be the end. Like, I was like, is he really going to go out with the pitchfork? And then I checked the time on the movie. I'm like, there's 10 minutes. He's not going to go out with a pitchfork. So, although that'd be interesting to after all this, thinking he's invincible, just some guy, time to, pitchfork this hay and...
Right. So he hangs up his tools and he hears breathing or snoring.
Yeah.
And so you flash over to the
police station.
Yeah. And they're in there talking about what we're going to do because it's starting to snow. And they're like, well, this is our chance to catch him. This fresh prints in the snow, he'll leave footprints. And the guy comes in, he's like, excuse me, sir, there's breathing in my barn.
Yeah.
He's like, well, this could be our chance to get him. Even though it's far-fetched, it could be him. We need to take every precaution. And so what was interesting about this is they actually block all the entrances, except the one entrance. Yep. They put the hay under there, and then they started on fire. And he's like, there's $1,000 pound reward for you waiting back at the office if this is him.
Oh, yeah. And then they were very careful this time because they knew it was snowing, and they also knew that the fresh snow would help track his footprints.
Right. And they're like, do not just go wandering
we're
around.
We're all going to walk in a straight line and stay on that line, so then any footprints he make, the snow is just for him.
Right.
So then we can see his footprints.
So they set the barn on fire, and it goes up in a blaze, and the next thing you see it open up, and him walking out, you just see the footprints in the snow.
Footprints, really.
That's what I said. What I didn't understand, if he was naked, why does he have shoe prints when they should have been footprints? But that's just a little
continuity error.
And I thought the most interesting part of this was the guy that shoots him is actually her father, right?
Is it?
Is he the one that shoots him? I believe it's. I don't think it's a regular police officer.
Cops.
No, because he's in the suit. I think. It's either that or it's the detective. It's
either Mr. Chief Detective or it's Dr. Cranley, and I think it's Chief Detective that just shoots him. I don't know if it was Dr. Cranley or not.
Well, they shoot him twice.
Yeah.
And you just see his feet stop, and then you just see the making a snow angel in his body.
Yeah.
And they come over, lean over him. So the next thing you see is you see him. The doctor's like, well, he's not going to make it. We tried, and I'm like, number one, how are you operating on this guy if you can't see him?
Yeah.
Number two. He's like, well, as the life leaves him from here, he'll become visible again. And I'm like,
how do you know that?
I don't. They don't even know what's causing. How can you say that if he dies, his body is coming back? I was like, this is really weird because that's nowhere.
It suddenly became super inconsistent in its own continuity.
Also, it's hard to notice because it's a black and white film, of course, but also his body should come back kind of like the dead white dog of just all of his color drained from his body, so he should be a pure white with black hair or something like that.
That's kind of what he was, though.
Yeah, a little bit, but
it's
also
a black and white film.
That would be the thing that actually they should say that about him dying and coming back instead of no, he's invisible again because of this. No, he's just losing all the color in his body and is invisible.
All right. So he's. I guess she's like Jenny's there, and she's. Or is her name Jenny or Fiona or?
It is Flora.
Yeah, Flora, and she's like. Can I see him? She's like, yeah, he's asking for you. So he goes in and he's like, he's like, Jenny, I'm sorry. I was always going to come back to you.
It's Flora.
It's Flora. Yeah.
Jenny's there.
Man.
Well, lady.
Yeah. yeah. So,
the entire time
it's like, Flora, I was always going to come back to you. I didn't know how I was going to get here. He's like, but I always wanted to come back to you, and I'm sorry. And she's like, oh. And then the next thing you see you take that last breath, and then all of a sudden you just start seeing, very well done, though, of him coming back to his human form.
Oh, yeah.
Starts like a skeleton. And then bringing in more and more.
You see all the other features.
Yeah, and then finally you see Claude Rains there at the end, which is the first time you've seen him the whole movie. Outside of his makeup, the only time he makes an appearance, and it ends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic done.
As every typical Munster movie ends, is once the monster is thwarted, the movie ends.
Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit about this movie. During the scenes with Una O'Connor, the hysterical pub landlady, James Wells struggled to control his own laughter as he adored her. She's just over the top, man.
Oh, yeah.
But Gloria Stewart, she didn't enjoy working with Claude Rains. During filming, when they had scenes together, she claimed her leading man kept backing her into the scenery and hampering her chances to perform. James Wells had to keep everything on even keel by reminding Claude Rains that he had to share his scenes with his leading lady.
Oh, man. One of those, the spotlight is mine.
Right.
1930 sexism. Oh, where's going?
Right. And then, where's it at? like I talked about the piano.
They stopped playing piano that stopped mid scene just because
And one of the last things right here, real quick, is I thought this was really interesting. On the DVD short commentary, Claude Rains' daughter tells of a time when her father brought her to see a re-release of this movie in a theater in Pennsylvania years after it was made. It was bitterly cold, and his face was completely covered by a hat and scarf. When he spoke to ask for the tickets, the attendant immediately recognized his voice and wanted to let them in for free. Raines was quite upset at this and demanded that he pay full price.
Oh,
I was like, man. Then also the other one was the first time Claude Rains' daughter ever saw her father in the movie was in 1950 when he took her to a showing of The Invisible Man in the Pennsylvania Theater. While the film was playing, Raines was telling his daughter all about how it was made. The other theater patrons stopped watching the movie and instead listened to Raines tell the story. I mean, can you imagine?
yeah, I hope.
Well, here's what happened.
You know,
Free commentary.
I was actually doing
Hey,
this.
DVD commentary before DVD commentary
So,
came out.
Terrence, let's hear your thoughts on The Invisible Man.
Great movie. It had it all. Like you were saying, it is one of the more comedic ones, but I think that made it more of a complete movie, I guess. Yeah, it was the special effects, especially for the time, were amazing.
Fantastic.
Absolutely impressive, incredible.
The only nitpick I have is the continuity issues. But as we've talked on all these movies, they all have continuity issues at some point or another. So it's a good month. Once again, another good Universal Monsters movie.
So where are you putting this in your list? I always ask you where you put the monsters.
Oh yeah, so my list more or less stays the same, with this one tying with The Mummy, and I don't know why I like The Mummy so much. Because
So this is tied for first.
It is, yeah. I'll probably have to think on it more, but at the moment I can't decide. I think The Invisible Man might beat it out just because I do like the comedy.
And was this
comedy?
and was this your first viewing of this too?
This is my first viewing.
Kyle,
yeah.
was this your?
This is my first viewing of The Invisible Man.
All right, Kyle. So what's your thoughts on this movie? And then tell us where you place it.
This film is fantastic. Of all the Universal Monster films, like this one is just completely appreciable on its own right as just a good film, not just because it has a history to it, but it's funny. It's got a very morbid sense of humor, and the special effects hold up remarkably well. Or lack thereof to a degree, because it's not like you have to make a Wolfman, you don't have to make Creature of Black Lagoon. Instead, you just have to make person not viewable,
Yeah.
which is a lot more of an easy task, I imagine, for some degree, but also more challenging to a degree.
Probably hard at editing.
There was two scenes where it was really noticeable, but everything else was really smooth. There was one scene where he was sitting on a chair that the contrast was really harsh, so you can tell there was a lot of editing and special effects going on there. And then there was another scene where he was, I believe, is the pants scene when he's coming down the way. Other than that, no, everything went really smooth as special effects wise.
And I really feel like they didn't hold back any punches. Like they really thought about okay, if a lunatic was actually invisible, what's all this kind of hijinks he would get into? What kind of murderous rampage could he actually accomplish? And they don't hold back on that at all. Like, he does rob a bank, he does murder a scientist and derails a train and all that other crazy stuff. And it is absolutely thrilling. So for me, it goes right on the top of my list of my favorite Universal Monster movies so far through the list.
And does that go? Was it go that then Frankenstein?
That then Frankenstein and no.
He doesn't really care.
Refer back to the Creature of Black Lagoon. I hate lists.
So what's your list here?
My list. This one for me, it's got to be the best one so far. This is the first time I have seen it in a long time. I mean, I've seen different versions of this. I guess Topper comes to mind. Topper Returns. Hollow Man. I've seen all these.
Well, the phone movie.
I've seen all. But
Kevin Bacon,
but to me, all these, all the Invisible Mans you've seen after this kind of make him into a funny haha guy without the murderous intent.
Well,
does that make sense?
Hollow Man.
Well, that wasn't really
like,
one I considered.
Okay,
As far I'm talking about,
that's the closest I got to something like this. And
but even he just went straight murderous. He didn't go straight.
He was just creepy and skeevy at first, and then he turned into a murderer. And
So
was all right.
this is probably my
I love
favorite.
this movie.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite. Then it's probably The Wolfman, just because of the story it told.
Yeah.
With the father-son and Lon Chaney's performance, the Junior's performance, it's fantastic. Then it's probably The Creature from the Black Lagoon, just because I always thought he was the creepiest looking, and the effects. And then probably Dracula, and then Frankenstein, then The Mummy. The Mummy's probably at the bottom of my list, just because.
I understand. Yeah. I think another fact, too, is just like, although it is firmly placed in the Universal Monster timeline and lineage there, to a certain extent, he almost like fits more into some like the earlier slasher films, even, of how he has a morbid sense of humor and the way in the creative way he dispatches his victims and actually getting away with it in most of the cases.
Right. I would kind of put this in the thing with like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, is what came to mind when I was watching it.
Around there where, and he's not.
But I don't think that was Universal, though. So that you're going to come into that problem too.
Yeah,
so.
good point there. But like I said, like he's the most subversive of the group. He's the biggest outcast of the group. Where Dracula is his own thing, Wolfman's his own thing, but his Invisible Man is firmly outside of even that group.
Yeah,
of how he.
And just think, if they wouldn't have caught him, he could have turned a whole bunch of people invisible. To help.
Here's what I think is interesting is especially when we're talking about Invisible Man versus the other Universal monsters, is besides the fact of him being invisible, there's no other supernatural, kind of thing going on. Like, he doesn't have super strength or anything. He's just a strong dude, naturally.
No, he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. So it's like, but there's no other sort of trait that gives him an edge except the fact that he's invisible, and that's it. And even then, he has to be careful because he does go down this laundry list of things he has to watch out for that gives him away. So I thought that was interesting and really sets him aside from all the other ones, because all the other ones are more or less actual supernatural beings and have sort of an edge via, like, they can't be hurt except by certain things, or they have super strength like the Creature of the Black Lagoon, but he's just invisible.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And he's just a dude. He's just a dude who's mad. That's the thing. He's a raving lunatic.
Madman, invisible man.
So definitely check this one out. This is definitely on top of the list. For our next two films, one of them is The Bride of Frankenstein, and I believe the second one is going to be The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Is that right?
Are we doing that one?
What was the other one? I thought it was Hunchback.
I thought we were going to do Phantom of the Opera, the Universal Monster version.
Well, we still got another week after this, so
that's true.
We will be wrapping up with Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, just to bring the whole comedic thing down, and these are where some of the monsters portrayed their characters one last time in the film to wrap it up. So, with that being said, I think this episode's coming to a close, and that's a wrap. And cut.